So, you finally made plans to get back together with your friends after a year and a half. They're coming over for dinner and a game night. But here's the twist. They don't play games. Typical. Maybe they got burned by one too many games of Candyland as a kid. Or maybe they just don't know about the amazing world of board games. Either way, they're beginners, and you want to ease them into the hobby without scaring them away. So, if you want to know what games to play with people that don't play games, then might I suggest... Hi, I'm Alex, and welcome to Might I Suggest a Game, a channel devoted to helping you find your perfect board game. Today's episode goes out to all those people who wish their friends loved board games as much as they did. I'll be giving you a specially curated board game tasting flight of games for beginners that are easy to learn, engaging, and will hopefully have them coming back for more. There are so many board games nowadays that it can be kind of intimidating for someone looking to get into a new hobby. So I'm hoping my tasting flight today will be a perfect stepping stone to get them hooked and to get you a few new people for your gaming group. But before we start, I want to get your suggestions on games that you teach to beginners. Drop them below in the comments, and while you're there, don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell button so you can get notified when I post new content. Anyways, let's get into it. Here's the criteria that I use to create this tasting flight. Number 1, the games have to have a quick play time. If you're trying to ease someone into the hobby of board game, it's probably not a good idea to start off with a 4-hour game of Scythe. Although I have tried that a few times. I find that games that have a play time of about 30 minutes or less really hit that sweet spot for new players where they don't feel too overwhelmed. Plus, if it's got a quick play time, you can play it multiple times in a row, so that when you inevitably explain the rules incorrectly, you can play it again with a better idea of how the strategy works and how to win the game. Number 2, the game should introduce some sort of new mechanic. If your goal is to try to get your friends to like board games, then these games for beginners should really introduce new mechanics that are used in more popular and more strategic games. That way, during your next game night, when you upgrade to something a little bit more challenging, they'll have a frame of reference to work off of. And lastly, number 3, these games should really feel like a board game. Now, I know that's kind of a nebulous goal, but to me, it eliminates those party games like Cards Against Humanity, or the really simple card games like Uno or Fuji Flush, all of which are good games in certain situations, but which also, in my opinion, don't really get people excited to play legit board games, which I think is the ultimate goal. So, using these criteria, I came up with 3 of the best games for beginners. Will one of these games be the perfect game for you? Let's find out, shall we? The first game in my beginner's tasting flight is Vegas the Dice Game. Vegas the Dice Game, as you can imagine, is a push-your-luck dice rolling game for 2 to 5 players that plays in about 30 minutes. To begin the game, you'll lay out the 6 different casino spots that correspond to the numbers on your die. Then you'll place cards from the money deck onto each casino spot until the value of each casino is $50,000 or more. This means that each casino has different stakes in every round, which will inevitably drive your strategy. Once you've set up the board, players will take turns rolling their dice, choosing one specific number from the dice that they rolled, and placing all dice of that value on the corresponding casino spot. You'll have to be smart on how many you place on the casino spots though, because once they're placed on a casino spot, you don't get them back into your pool until the end of the round. Your goal is to win as many casino spots as possible. If you win a casino spot, you'll get to take the highest valued money card from that casino spot and place it in your stash. But if another player manages to have more dice on that casino spot than you, then you're pretty much out of luck. However, if there are multiple money cards on a casino spot, then whoever comes in second will still get to take a card until all the cards are gone. Now there's one more tricky bit here. If multiple players tie on the amount of dice that they have on a casino spot, then their dice cancel out. If no one else is on that casino spot, then the money itself is discarded. But if there's another player that didn't tie, then they'll swoop in and steal the money from the other players. The game is played over 4 rounds, with each casino spot replenishing its cash supply at the end of each round. Once the 4th round is over, the players will collect their money for the round, and whoever has the most cumulative money from the whole game wins. Vegas the Dice Game is a super easy to learn game, and its push your luck element makes the game competitive but not really too mean. I think it's an awesome combination of luck and strategy, and it's a great gateway into this dice rolling mechanism. Dice rolling is a super common element in more strategic games, and Vegas the Dice Game is a really good way to wrap your head around it. Once your beginner players have mastered Vegas the Dice Game, you can try dice rolling games that are a little bit more strategic at your next game night, like Machi Koro or Sagrada. Then if your friends are really starting to get the hang of it, you can move on to games like Castles of Burgundy, with the ultimate goal to get into something heavier like Grand Austria Hotel. That's one of my favorites. So if you want a game that's quick to teach, that will open your friends' eyes to the world of dice rolling, push your luck, area control, all in one game, then might I suggest Vegas the Dice Game. The second game in my beginner's tasting flight is Draftosaurus. Draftosaurus is a dinosaur drafting game, hence the name, that plays with 2 to 5 players in about 15 minutes. In Draftosaurus, players will take turns picking dinosaurs from their hand and placing them on their board, and then passing their remaining dinosaurs to the player next to them. Now that seems almost too simple, but it's where you place them on the board that counts. At the beginning of the round, each player will take 6 dinosaurs from the supply and keep them in their hand. Then the starting player will roll the placement die. This die will give a restriction to everyone except for the player that rolled it. Sometimes it means you can only place dinosaurs on the right side of your board. Sometimes it means you can only place dinosaurs in a certain type of terrain. Either way, it makes the decision a little bit trickier for all the other players. Once the placement die has been rolled, each player will take a dinosaur from their hand and place it on their board in one of the 6 pens. Each of the pens has different victory conditions and ways to get points, so you'll need to figure out how to balance each different area to maximize your score. Once you've placed a dinosaur on the board, you'll pass the remaining dinosaurs to the person next to you. These turns will continue on until there's no dinosaurs left in your hand. Then players will draw back up to 6 dinosaurs and start again on the second and final round. Once that round is over, players will add up the points they acquired in each of their 6 different pens, and whoever ends up with the most points wins. Draftosaurus is a fun little game that I've introduced to many people, both beginner board gamers and pro board gamers alike. The super quick playtime means you can play a bunch of rounds of this in a row, plus the base game comes with a 2-sided game board for even more challenges. Draftosaurus is a perfect introductory game to both drafting and set collection mechanics. These 2 really basic mechanics are present in so many board games nowadays, so getting a hang of these mechanics in Draftosaurus will give them a leg up at the next game night with a slightly more strategic game like Splendor, Azul, or Ticket to Ride. Once they inevitably master those classics and graduate to the next level, you can start to throw in things that are a little bit thinkier, like Calico, or games that have a little bit more going on, like Wingspan, another one of my favorites. So if you're looking for the purest form of drafting and set collection that's colorful, easy to learn, and has just enough luck that even beginners can win, then might I suggest Draftosaurus. The last game in my beginner's tasting flight is Silver and Gold. Silver and Gold is a flip and write game for 2 to 4 players that plays in about 20 minutes. In Silver and Gold, players will be using these different Tetris-style shapes to fill out different treasure maps, collect bonuses, and discover the hidden booty. Each round, players will shuffle the deck of polyomino cards and discard one of them so that not all the shapes are represented in each round. Then the round will start by flipping over one of those polyomino cards and then using your dry erase marker to mark that specific shape on your treasure map. Now, it's not just as simple as that. Play will continue on until all the shapes are flipped, at which point the discarded card will be shuffled back in and you'll begin a new round. When you fill out these shapes on your treasure maps, you'll encounter 3 different types of symbols. The first symbol is an X. The X symbol means you can immediately fill out a single box on either of your treasure maps. This comes in really handy when you get stuck with weird polyomino shapes. If you fill out a space that has a gold coin on it, you'll mark one of those off on your score sheet. The first player to collect 4 coins will win the highest value bonus for those coins. The bonus diminishes by 1 for each set of 4 that's discovered, so try to get your coins early. The last bonus on the board is the little palm tree. If you fill out a space with a palm tree, you'll count up how many palm trees are visible in the market row of treasure maps. Then you'll add that number to the one that you have on your board, and that'll be the value of the bonus that you'll write on your score sheet. Once you fully fill out a treasure map, congratulations, you've discovered the booty. You can take that completed treasure map and put it in your supply, and then you can draw a new treasure map from the market row. Most of the treasure maps just have a victory point total, but some of the treasure maps include bonuses that will go into effect if you complete treasure maps of that specific color. Players will keep filling out their treasure maps and drawing new ones until the end of the 4th round. Then you'll count up all your victory points from your completed treasure maps, plus any bonuses that you got from coins or palm trees on your score sheet, add them all together, and whoever has the most points wins. Silver and Gold is one of my favorite flip and write games because of how simple it is. It really only takes about 5 minutes to teach, and it's a perfect introduction to the flip/roll and write genre, as well as the use of polyomino shapes. Some of my favorite, more strategic games use these polyominoes, so teaching people this game means that next time we can play a game like Baron Park or Patchwork. And that's not even to mention the roll and write aspect of it. There are so many awesome roll and write and flip and write games that have come out recently that if your beginner friends can get a hold of Silver and Gold, you can definitely upgrade them to Cartographers or Metro X on your next time around. Then once they get a hang of those more strategic games, you can move up even one more level to a game like Isle of Cats or Hadrian's Wall. So if you're looking for a great opportunity to introduce your friends to flip and write games, as well as to hone that Tetris style spatial reasoning that you get in so many polyomino games, then might I suggest Silver and Gold. Thanks so much for sticking around for my specially curated board game tasting flight for beginners. I hope you get a chance to hang out soon with your friends that don't really play games, and you can introduce one of these games to them and bait them into the board game and hobby hook, line, and sinker. Don't forget to drop your suggestions in the comments for your favorite games for beginners. I'm really interested to see what games you've chosen and what your experience is with those games. Thanks so much for all the support so far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can keep growing this channel and keep helping you find your perfect board game. Once again, this has been a Might I Suggest a Game production, and I'm Alex, your board game sommelier, signing off.